We are back with this breaking news, and we have now a third video of a man who is being considered a subject or a suspect by the FBI. FBI Director Kash Patel posting the 3 short video clips as well as 4 black and white photos. You can see they show a person wearing gloves, a mask, and a backpack who comes onto the front porch of Nancy Guthrie's house and appears to tamper with the camera. We can see a little bit of the person, their eyes visible through a mask. I want to go back to NBC's Ken Delaney. And we were able to show the first 2 videos at some length, but what do we see in this third video, Ken, that just came out?
Well, Chris, this is such an important break in this case because in this video in particular, you see a snippet of this person's gait, which is a way that someone who knows this person might recognize him. And also the other things that he's wearing, the running shoes, the mask, the gloves, the clothing, and of course the handgun that's clearly visible in the holster attached to his belt. Any of those things could be a way to jog someone's memory. Someone might have seen that person either in a convenience store down the road or someone who knows that person very well and knows the clothing or items that person owns and possesses. So this is a huge break. And again, Kash Patel, the FBI director, saying that this was video recovered from residual data in back-end systems in the company. It looks like it's Nest that operated these systems. It wasn't on the scene. It wasn't in the cloud, but they spent some time and they looked for it and they got it. And now we can all hope that it leads to a break in this case, Chris.
Yeah, it is the big moment we've been waiting for. Mark Santia is on location for us in Tucson. Couple of things. I want to talk about the postings by Savannah Guthrie. When we first got just the still photo, she posted, "We believe she is still alive. Bring her home." Now she has posted a video saying someone out there recognizes this person. "We believe she is still out there. Bring her home." And that obviously is the hope that everyone has here, Mark, that someone will see this, recognize it, and lead to not just the arrest of the perpetrator, but bringing Nancy back to her family. Tell us what you know from there.
You're absolutely right, Chris. I think we've all seen in these cases the power of the public, the force multiplier that citizens can be, and that Savannah's sort of plea, someone recognizes this person. Chris, there are several different things to look for here. This investigation is spinning up. It's moving very quickly. These images were retrieved this morning. So just talking to law enforcement sources, several different things to look at, Chris. When this person walks up to Nancy's home, there's that brick arch behind him. From there, investigators will be able to learn the suspect's height, their weight. You also have the clothing. But if you look on the ground, you see those tiles. I was talking to one law enforcement source. He says those tiles are a big deal. Why? Because the shoe, you can measure the shoe on those tiles. Sort of, you get that reference. So they're going to learn a lot just from those images, as well as the suspect's gait. They'll get that out. What you'll also have in this investigation is you'll have investigators going to people, if Nancy had folks at the home who worked at the home, home health care attendants or landscapers, those people, those images will be shown to people familiar with the area, familiar with Nancy's home. Does this person look familiar to you? There's a lot of sort of tells in that video, the way the person walks, what the person is wearing, the backpack, of course, the person being armed. If anything may just sort of ring a bell. They also, Chris, now have a timeline. They know when the person was there based on that video, so they can go back. Was that person in the neighborhood the days, the weeks before? They can start looking at video. So one law enforcement source told me this break is huge for the investigation. You have more images. Again, you have the Savannah's video reaching out to the public. And Chris, we know how many cases have been solved, have been helped by members of the public. Pick up that phone. If you see something, say something. The Pima County investigators here, as well as the FBI, they have been going through hundreds of tips, each one being vetted, each lead being run down, and now they're expecting a flood of calls from people in the area who may have seen something strange that day. Maybe they saw that backpack that looked familiar. They're also going to look for a vehicle. Was any vehicle sort of coming into the neighborhood around that time? They'll also look at cell phone towers that can start dumping information around that time. So right now, Chris, this is a very important time in the investigation. It's spinning ramping up. You have multiple teams, many behind the scenes, who you're not seeing working. You have FBI agents at Quantico who have been going through evidence and helping. So this is an all hands on deck moment right now as this investigation spins up, and the public is a big part of it. Chris?
Thank you so much for that, Mark. We appreciate it. And I want to go to you, Rob, because we were able to take this video and we were able to freeze it and get a close-up of what appears to be a gun, what appears to be some sort of weapon. There you see it right there. Just from an image like that, what will the FBI be able to ascertain?
They're going to take the measurements off it, and they're going to try to enhance the photo. There's some programs that can take like night vision type photos to enhance it, and I'm sure they're doing that in the background. As they got this, they probably went right out to the public, and now they're getting their video analytic folks and everything else to start doing that. But the one thing that strikes me is I don't know anyone who wears a gun like that. Like everyone I know has side holsters, and they might tuck it in their pants, and that like kind of drew me. And again, it may be someone like so-and-so wears his gun like that. They've seen it before. That may pique something, because I just kind of like to have it right there in the front, hanging out, where it's not tucked in your pants, and it's not on a side holster, or it's not. So that's not a common way to carry it. And it may be regional. Like, I don't know about how some people wear guns in Mexico. We've talked about it being so close to the border type of thing. Or someone like wears a gun, someone's going to recognize that. It's not a normal way to wear it. I've seen it just tucked in the pants, but not out like that in some type of something that's holstering it there. So, but they're going to measure it. They're going to really try to look at it. They have, obviously, they'll probably get ATF involved in that too, because there's all kinds of data on weapons and sizes and stuff like that. So they're going to start going through that. Again, this all goes to investigation. To possibly who this is to lead to things. And as Mark talked about, looking for vehicles at this time, and that's already been done, because they did know the time that this happened, going off the disconnection of the Ring camera. Now the video is that next step type of thing, where they probably gathered video from stores all around that area. We talked about convenience stores. They're now trying to match that, and that takes resources. That takes people to look at it and really see. You can use AI to start looking at some of that, but they're going to start taking what they've done before, that they really didn't have anything to put it against, and now match it to what they're seeing on these videos, and then putting it out to the public. Now you have millions of people looking at this saying, wait a second. I remember, my wife, she could tell me walking hundreds of yards away just by my gait. And as I forget if it was Ken or if it was Chris or if it was Mike who talked about that, the gait is important. I think it was Ken. The gait's important because people recognize that. Like they said, they can recognize walking from so far away, and it may clue them in, like, wait a second, so-and-so walks like that. And then they put it all together, especially when they start coming out with some of the things we talked about earlier, possible mustache. I didn't get to zoom in on that photo enough, but I think I saw what was a mustache, and it was thin. They're going to start having people take a look at that to come out with a different photo, taking measurements of the eyes to put into some type of picture that they can put out that has more definition, even though they don't have a clearer picture. And then hopefully they match it to something where he wasn't wearing that mask.
Rob D'Amico, thank you so much for everything. Michael, let me wrap it up with you in the last couple of minutes. We hope that this extraordinary breakthrough that we have been waiting for 10 days, the first image of perhaps the suspect in this case, perhaps the person who knows what happened to Savannah Guthrie's mom, we hope those phones are starting to ring off the hook, that this imagery, these videos, these still pictures are sparking something in someone. So how quickly can the FBI and other investigators mobilize larger teams to take in what I would expect and hope would be an onslaught of tips? And then how are they going through them to separate what might really lead them to an end to this case?
They're probably going to be dividing resources between those that are near and those that are far, and divvying up the tasks by the ones that can be done remotely and the ones that you need somebody on the ground in Arizona for. And what I mean by that is, in terms of analyzing camera footage, that can be done by somebody at the laboratory in Quantico. It could be done by somebody in any of the FBI's 50 field offices. You need somebody with a computer screen. It doesn't matter where they're located. But as tips come in, certain things are going to have to be run to ground in person. If a civilian calls and says, yeah, that looks like my uncle or that looks like my neighbor, you need to send a couple of agents out there to go and investigate the person, to interview the person. And, you know, Phoenix is not a small office. It's also not an incredibly large one. I would hope by this point they have temporarily reassigned agents from nearby offices in the Southwest to already be pre-positioned in Arizona to accomplish some of these tasks. That's really what I see them doing with most of the tips going forward. But now, you know, we've moved from a general time frame that we knew the perpetrator was there to, with the recovery of this video, a specific one. Hopefully that helps them narrow down, as Rob was talking about earlier, any cell phone pings that may have happened on nearby towers through which they can triangulate this person's location at the time of the incident and thereafter maybe even track him or her. So there's a lot of work to be done. It's going to be a very shoe leather intensive investigation, but you know, the FBI has 35,000 employees for a reason, and I suspect no small amount of them are up to speed on what's happening here.